Culture swap.
Swap my culture.
Liam, as we said at the beginning of the show, this time it's my birthday. As listeners know, on our birthdays, we get to pick what we watch.
Last year, you really rocked the boat and picked Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, listeners that listen to that, that's probably one of the key episodes. Like, I'm aware that I've got a reputation as the angry one. I think I've done quite well this episode.
So far.
I blame hormones, Liam.
Sure.
I think that's fair. I'm filling my body with them, so who knows what the fuck I'm on. I'm like wild.
Yeah, okay.
But I have a reputation as the angry one. I'm aware of that. I think that episode is probably one of the key episodes that I could point to and go, Liam can do that too. And I think you were maybe unreasonably angry.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I believe you accused me in that episode of like trying to sabatage you and just
You tried to
shit,
ruin
like,
my
trying to
honour.
make you. What was that?
You tried to ruin my honour with the listeners.
Yeah, which was a ridiculous argument because that's your own fault. But anyway, we don't need to get into it.
No.
So this time
you did a much better pick this time.
I caved into your annoying demands. Didn't give you an anime, which I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And instead we did Her Story, a web series by Jen Richards and Laura Zach. This web series, listeners,
Yeah.
it's the story of two transgender women who you follow through the web series as they sort of deal with their romantic life and like the issues that being transgender throws into those situations. So, you know, it hits pretty close to home for me, because I'm also a transgender woman.
Yes.
But I don't have the romance part, so, you know.
Not yet.
Yay.
Give it time. See, that was a nice thing for me to say on your birthday episode.
Yeah, thanks, Liam.
That's all right. So, it's important to say, one, there's going to be spoilers.
Yep. We are going to spoil Her Story. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's only
It's
6
short.
episodes,
Yeah.
and each episode is 10 minutes.
It's less than 10 minutes, some of them.
That's true, yeah. I think they said the runtime is like 54 minutes or something.
Okay. The other important thing to note, we are both approaching this from way different perspectives.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So if I come across sounding like ignorant or dumb, what's new?
I mean, here's the counter argument. Not a counter argument. Here's just a point, Liam. Right? The sort of currently accepted statistic, which is probably slightly inaccurate, is I believe 0.1% of the population are transgender.
Really?
Yeah, it's really low.
That's tiny.
So yeah, we're a very small minority.
Is there a smaller minority?
I mean, yeah, there's that island that hasn't had contact with the rest of the world because every time anyone turns up, they shoot arrows at them. They're probably smaller than us.
Okay.
But yeah, so like, I think you're probably going to be coming at it from the same perspective that our listeners will be coming at it from.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to be coming from a much more educated experience.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, the first thing that I thought was interesting is we discussed this earlier today, and what I thought it was about was different to what you thought it was about.
Well, I knew it was what it was about because I've. Oh wait, what? Sorry, I thought you were going to make a different point. What are you saying?
Well, so when we were discussing it, I was like, for me, what I thought this show is about was like what it's like to date as either a lesbian or a trans woman, whereas you said it was about how society treats trans people.
Yeah, which I think it is.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. So that's interesting. Just a very like, you know, we both took away a completely different like main theme of this show.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. Like the bit of this show that is like the main story.
Yeah,
is one transgender woman, sort of accepting that she's a lesbian and like how she comes together with a lesbian who is dealing with what it means to date someone who's transgender.
Yeah.
And the other story is a transgender woman dating a straight man, and sort of the same thing. Like, how does
that felt more like a B plot, which was a shame because I almost found that more interesting to some degree.
Well, because you're a straight man and you like when you're represented and stuff.
It wasn't even that so much. It was like, because neither of those were like my favourite characters. I just felt like I had issues with some of the stuff that was going on in the main story.
Okay.
And I felt like this like B plot, if you will, deserved a bit more time. dedicated to it.
I don't think it is a B plot. I think most of the like stuff online accepts it as the two stories going on side by side.
They are, but I feel like when it comes to how much time is dedicated to both, I think
Violet and Allie's relationship,
gets
which
a
is
lot more
the
time.
trans woman and lesbian, they do get more screen time.
So that's why I'm saying it's more of a B plot, just because there's less time dedicated to it.
Okay.
So you have Violet, who is a trans woman. You have Ellie, who is a lesbian who writes for... It's not a newspaper, is it?
No, I think it's like a magazine.
Yeah.
But it's a magazine for lesbian women.
Yeah. Then you got...
Predominantly.
Paige, who's another trans woman.
Mm-hmm.
James, who is a straight guy.
Yeah.
And then you've just got like secondary characters, basically, after that.
Yeah.
Those are like the main... Oh, but I guess the other guy that's worth mentioning is Mark.
Yeah.
So those are like your main players, if you will. Although Mark is more of a secondary character, I guess.
He is, but he's more important.
First impressions, for some reason, I don't know why, I think I even said it on the last episode, I thought this was a documentary.
Which is weird.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be... I don't even know where I got this thought from, but I thought it was going to be 6 episodes. Each one would have been a different trans person talking about their experience.
Yeah, I
don't know why.
I have
no
idea
that.
where you got that from.
I fuck knows, not a clue. So the first episode really threw me.
Yeah, because you were like, this doesn't feel like a documentary.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I'm pretty sure this is scripted.
They've got some incredible camera shots for a documentary.
I have to admit, I was not a fan of it after the first episode. I was like, I don't see what they're trying to do here.
I think the first episode is trying to set stuff up. I think this is one of the, like, maybe not flaws with web series. Well, I guess it's a flaw, but not in like a fuck web series way.
Yeah.
But especially with something that's such a short format where you've got like 10 minutes or whatever to get your episode across. Like that first episode, you've got to try and like set up your characters, just not even like an in-depth thing.
Yeah, you don't
just
have a
like,
lot of time.
Here are these characters, here's what they do, done.
Yeah.
So the first episode definitely is not the best episode.
Yeah, like I just didn't even know what point the show was trying to make at that point.
Yeah.
It does get better. So I would say, like, if any of you listeners are listening to this and again have just like decided to not watch it but just listen to us talk about it for some ludicrous reason,
I completely understand, but Liam doesn't.
Yeah. If you do decide to then go on and watch this, just stick with it past episode 1.
Which again, they're only like 10 minutes maximum, so it's easy.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a big ask.
No.
I have to say, so Ellie's my favourite character, but she nearly like absolutely just ruined it in I think the second episode.
Yeah. So there's one of the main plots of the web series is that Ellie, this lesbian journalist, she's writing an article about trans people.
Yeah.
She sees Violet when Violet's working her waitressing job, and the first episode there's a whole thing where she's trying to figure out how you approach someone.
Yeah. And
say, are you trans?
Yeah, which you're not meant to do.
The answer is no. The answer is you don't, because that's just kind of douchebaggy.
Yeah.
But then it also deals with the fact that.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If you're in Ali's shoes and you do want to write an article about like a trans person's experience, what is the best way to approach?
Post somewhere where trans people are?
Like online?
Yeah, like in the Reddit forums and stuff.
Okay. Like, because I get that you're not meant to just go up to someone and ask, but equally, if you're trying to, if you're not trans yourself, but you're trying to represent their experience somehow, you know, because that's not necessarily like a bad thing to be doing.
No, it's not.
What's the best way of doing that?
The issue with doing it like to a random stranger, like she does, is like a lot of trans women are. There's a whole part of trans. There's not trans women. Trans people. Yeah. There's like a whole thing about going stealth, which is where a trans person has got to a point where they don't necessarily pass, but they you know they can live as their gender. Yeah. And they don't have to be this openly trans person, because a lot of people don't want that.
Which they kind of show in the show with Paige to a degree, I think.
Yeah, Paige is kind of doing that.
Yeah.
Like, she's not ashamed. Like, these people aren't ashamed of being trans.
But they're equally not shouting about it.
No, and they don't have to, because it's not. It doesn't need. It shouldn't. Like, we shouldn't have to be fighting for our rights, because it's ridiculous that we're having to.
Yeah.
So I totally get why people would not want to be doing it and are like, I just want to live my life.
Yeah.
So the issue with then going up to someone and asking is like, if you get someone who is trans,
yeah,
you are saying, the only thing, I guarantee, the only thing that trans person is going to be thinking is, how did you clock me? What did I fuck up?
Yeah.
Like, there's no happy thing for the trans person there where they're like, oh, great, I'm being represented. They're just like, cool, great, I didn't pass.
Yeah.
This person figured it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, also, does that mean everyone here is going to know? And am I going to get the shit kicked out of me?
Yeah. Is that always like...
Post online.
That whole, like, am I going to get the shit kicked out of me? Like, I understand that happens more frequently than it should with trans people. But is that something that is always, like, in the back of your mind?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Because I guess it's like...
I've not had a negative experience yet.
Yeah.
But when I went to, like, the work party,
yeah,
on the way home, I was like, cool, I just need to, like, especially as you get further out of London, like, I know London's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because central London, there's a lot of people, and most people there are going to be not weird, but everyone's just keeping to themselves.
Yeah.
And there's more of a variety of people. Mm-hmm. But the further out you get, like, you do have to sort of pay attention, just to be like, what if there is a drunk dickhead on my train?
Yeah.
Who is going to be like, oh, I'm going to beat the shit out of this person because they're different to me.
Yeah. But, is that the... Cause from I guess it's sort of like, the reason why I'm asking is obviously I've never had this, and it's exactly the same with, like, women, like, walking home at night. They've kind of got to constantly be, like, on their guard almost, like, aware of their surroundings and all this sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I've never really had to experience that, so I can't really imagine what it must be like to, like, constantly have that, like, in the back of your mind.
I mean, it's just annoying.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Like, part of it as well, I get, like, especially when I'm drunk, I'm more confident about it.
Yeah.
I'm aware, like, it's weird, because I'm aware of being careful, but I'm also not, like, hiding or anything.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a weird mix, and it isn't not interesting. It shouldn't be something that I have to worry about. No. But it is.
Yeah. But yeah, I just didn't know if that was something that, like how much of a concern that is, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's a concern in that I know it happens.
Yeah, okay.
And, especially, like, with some of the stuff going on in America at the moment, it's worse over there. Like, there have been a lot of transgender people killed this year.
Yeah. Is there anywhere where it's not bad?
There are places that are more accepting.
Like where?
But you're always going to get... I think someone was saying Portugal's pretty good, which is weird.
I guess, like, the only other place I'm aware of, just because I know a lot of, like, operations and surgery and stuff happens there, is, like, Thailand, I think.
Yeah, but then the Thai have got their own thing going on with it. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know how.
That. No, but I mean, there's the whole ladyboy culture in Thailand.
So what's that?
Well, I mean, you know what the negative stereotype of a ladyboy is.
Yeah.
So that.
But is that something that people, like, play up to or something then?
No. It's just that there's a lot of trans people have to go into sex work to make money. That's the thing. Which is
addressed in this web series.
Yeah. Violet in her past worked as a sex worker.
Yeah.
To make money to pay for her transition.
Okay. Is that more of an American issue?
I think it happens everywhere that there are trans people, but it is probably more of an issue because they're having to pay it all out of their own pocket.
Yeah.
Or a lot of them are. I think some insurances are starting to cover it, but not many.
Okay.
So it's that kind of thing. Like, so there's a stereotype, especially in the, fairly recently, but the 90s and stuff. Like, there were trans people weren't, like, we're in a phase where people are starting to, like, see us and be like, I shouldn't be a dick about these people.
Yeah, I'd say
they're not just a crazy fetishist.
It's probably what, like, late 80s, early 90s that just, like, gay guys started getting some level of acceptance and representation.
Exactly, yeah.
And you think, so now we're like 20 years on from that, and it's no longer really, not like by most people, like majority of people.
There still are negative views and stuff that people have.
Yeah, but most people are very accepting, and it's been very embraced. So do you foresee that in, like, as the trans community is probably at the same level as where like the gay community was in the early 90s, do you foresee in the next, like, 20 years there will be more general acceptance, or or is it like, I don't know, being part of the community, is it hard to kind of...
No, I see things that make me positive about it.
Yeah.
And then I see other stuff that makes me less positive. Like, again, America at the moment is a mix of horribly shitty things happening and good things happening in some places. Like, I think another transgender woman just got... what did she get? I think she's won some nomination, like being voted into a position...
Oh, like political or something.
Yeah. But then at the same time, there was that story recently about the young girl in a school who was transgender, used the girls' bathroom, which she never used. She always used a staff bathroom, but had just gone to a middle school, didn't know where the staff bathroom was, so used the girls' toilets. Like she should be able to, because she is a girl.
Yeah.
A parent found out and posted on Facebook in this group, and it just escalated into death threats to a young girl.
That's ridiculous.
Yep, it's honestly disgusting.
And was that from
Only
parents?
one of the parents was actually at the school, but the others were parents at other schools.
That were posting the death threats?
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Because I think as well, like when I see or when I hear about things like death threats online, I just imagine it being like losers in their parents' basements, like usually kind of teenage to like early 20s males, like that sort of stereotype.
Yeah.
So the thought of it also being like parents, it's like, well, no,
yes, the
no
idea
wonder.
of a parent threatening to kill someone else's kid,
fucked up.
Yeah, it's real fucked up.
Like,
but that's what I mean. So there's like this weird mix of positivity and horribly negative things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it will get better, because I tend to believe that humanity does slowly get better. I mean, it does. The West is better than it used to be. Like you said, gay people are starting to get way more accepted.
Yeah.
Racism's hopefully getting lower in the mass public. I think it is, but there are still a lot of issues there.
It's coming back. It feels like it's making a comeback, which is a weird thing to say, but
yeah,
it does feel that way because of, you look at like what's happened politically, and it's almost given racists this misbelief that it's now okay.
Yeah.
Which
it's a tricky one.
It's a shame.
Yeah, no, it is.
So going back to because I don't think I actually ended up discussing my issue that I had with Ellie in episode 2.
Yes, sorry, yeah.
So Ellie, my favourite character, but there was a conversation that I just couldn't get my head around, and I watched this last night, and I was talking to you, and you rewatched the scene, so you might have to just correct me where I'm a little bit wrong on it. But she's basically saying something along the lines of, if she fancies a trans woman, Ali becomes very concerned what that means for her as her status as a lesbian. Yeah,
she's having a so the like setup to it is she's having a conversation with her 3 sort of, they seem like her close lesbian friends.
Yeah, one of them's really turfy and just awful.
Yeah, one of them is very much like misgendering Violet, but just says a lot of shit that is not nice.
Yeah.
One of the other ones sort of agrees with her, but not as extremely. But
the
it's
blonde
still
one.
Yeah, but she's still like, well, it's got a dick, so it's straight. And then Ali and the other one are more on the other side of like, well, why?
Yeah.
Why does it matter?
Yeah.
But Ali does then leaves because she's annoyed.
Yeah.
With the sort of other one that's on her side, and they have a discussion about where Ali is basically like, does it make me less of a lesbian?
Yeah, and it was at this point that I just was a bit exasperated.
Yeah, which I get, because...
Well, to me, it felt like... It feels like these labels, right, that, like, are either, like, self-assigned or assigned to you or whatever. Like, okay, you're a woman, you're attracted to other women, therefore you're a lesbian, right? I get that, but I feel like the labels should only go so far. They shouldn't become restrictive. You shouldn't ever be like, well, I can't fancy this person because I am this label. Like, my whole impression of like the LGBTQ plus community is that it should very much be like, love who you want to love. Things like gender and all that sort of stuff shouldn't be the primary concern, really.
No, you're right.
So it feels
unfortunately
weird to me.
there are, so that is an annoying thing that Ali does.
Yeah, she gets over it.
She does, and ends up dating Violet, which is good.
Yeah,
but like I think that's a side of the LGBT plus community that people who aren't in it maybe don't see as much.
Probably, yeah.
Which is the sort of divisions in it, and like there are people on all sides probably who are not good representations of what you would assume an LGBT plus person is. Like there are lesbian TERFs, and there are gay guys who won't date a trans man.
Yeah.
And, you know, that shit happens in the community just like it does on the outside.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that the web series is like, hey, like everyone can be as shit as everyone else, sort of thing.
I get that.
You're annoyed because your favourite character did it.
It didn't feel right, it coming from that character. It felt like the conversation that was happening in that scene should have been reversed with those two characters, because throughout the show, Ellie is positioned as the more understanding, the more open-minded. So for her to have this,
but she's also not had to deal with it before.
No, yeah, I get that. It seemed weird.
So I think that's maybe a more true representation than if it was flipped.
Possibly.
Because she is an open-minded person who is accepting of trans people, but she's never dealt with a trans person before. So like she is trying to figure out what it means.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to figure that shit out.
It is. I guess
it's only good if you come to the right answer at the end of it.
Yeah. I guess like for me as well, where I kind of like struggle is I'm very much of the mindset, right? If someone identifies as a lesbian, that would just to me be like their preference is women, okay? But I wouldn't kind of say that then boxes them in to the fact that they can only ever date women. Like if someone is like, I'm 99.9% of the time attracted to women, but like there is one dude out there who I find attractive, I'm not going to be like, well then you're bisexual. To me that could still be a lesbian person. There's just this like one exception. I don't think it should necessarily mean they have to be like relabeled or re-identified or whatever.
No, I think all that shit's stupid.
Yeah.
The same with the whole gold star lesbian thing, which they reference in that scene.
What is that?
So the idea of a gold star lesbian is someone that has never had sex with a penis.
Okay.
So there's this whole like, I'm a gold star lesbian because I've never even touched a dick, and you're like, yeah, okay, cool, but there are other people who, you know, didn't know they were lesbians, and why the fuck are you trying to exclude them from your elitist club?
Yeah, some people, you know, it's not like the sort of thing that you're given a handbook to, and you can just read it and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, I'm of the mindset that everyone should just fuck whoever the fuck they want, and don't worry about the whole...
as long as it's legal and it's
Yes, I mean consenting, obviously. Liam, I didn't mean just go around being like, I want to fuck you.
So I just, you know, had to make it clear. We don't know who's listening.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's my mindset. I'm just like, if someone's attractive, they're attractive.
Yeah, it shouldn't really matter. If you both find each other attractive, fuck labels.
Exactly.
But yeah, I guess the reason why I struggled is just it was weird to me. It's probably not a conversation I'm really seeing a lot in anything before, of someone almost like boxing themselves in due to the label that they've given themselves. It felt really weird.
But I think that is a thing people do. So I think it's good that they showed it.
Yeah.
Because that, like, I think that is a thing that everyone does. You know, even if it's just when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
Where you find your, like, click.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, right, so I should do this because that's what my people do.
Yeah.
And so I get it. I get why she thinks that. And she also, like, her friend, what her friend says to her is the correct response, which is a lesbian means a woman that likes another woman.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. But I think, so like, I would identify as straight, right? But like, if Zac Efron knocks on my door and is like, can I have a nosh on your cock? I'm not suddenly gay or bisexual.
Oh, as if he would want to nosh your penis.
Hey.
He would knock on the door and you would fall to your knees. Arse cheeks spread.
Yeah. You
know you would.
Yeah. But I'm still saying, like, I would still identify as straight after that.
What if he wanted to marry you?
I'd be fine with that.
Would you then call yourself straight if you were married to Zac Efron?
Yeah.
What if Zac Efron was like...
Because the thing is, right,
I want to marry you,
He's the outlier. So my preference is still women, but he slipped through the net.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I think, like, that's the thing, is it's sexual preference.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's like the one dude out of, like, what, 3 billion. So, you know, we've discussed my guilt-free 3 list and how lengthy it is.
Yeah, more than 3.
Yeah. So I don't think the one dude, like, negates that preference.
No, that's true.
But that's just my opinion on it. So someone listening to this might be like, nah, bro, you totally gay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back to the show.
Now that we've dissected that.
I thought the lesbian that was a TERF
Yeah.
was... that's Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa.
Definitely important her character was there.
Yeah.
Just borderline cartoonish in her, like delivery almost.
Yeah, but you don't see these people.
No, I don't. And like I'm just coming at this from like what to me would make this not even like an accurate representation, just interesting. And a lot of it, I think, because it's so characterized,
yeah,
I almost would find it more believable in a way. Like you said, these were in probably more extreme versions exist, but I would find it more interesting if they were downplayed a little bit. So it's like, oh, it could be like a point of view that's more insidious. Does that make sense? Because she's just shouting these opinions like very loudly, but I almost feel like it would be a more dangerous character almost if the way she expressed these opinions was less exaggerated.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what the show...
No, I don't think the show's going for that level.
Because I think that's one of the good things about this show, is it's a way for people who aren't transgender to see part of that, like the struggle of it.
Yeah.
And like, if it was all more subtle and like...
I would have...
I don't think... Because I think it's important that people know there are people out there who will shout that.
I would have liked Lisa to have had more of a comeuppance. I feel like she gets off quite lightly.
She does, but also, like, I don't know, the way
she should have got a slap.
No, but I disagree entirely.
Not necessarily from Paige, just one of her lesbian friends should have been like, "You're a fucking idiot," and slapped her.
But even then, if the violence is coming, like, that's, in my opinion, and this is not an opinion that all transgender people share, and I'm aware of that. In my opinion, if you get violent at these people, or if there is violence directed at these people, you're just fueling their argument.
Okay.
Because part of their argument is that
a
trans woman is just an angry man who's gonna, at the drop of a hat, in a bathroom, just be like, "Whoa!"
Get punching. Yeah. All right. Yeah. A bird should have shot on her head.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll accept that.
Yeah. I just wanted more of a comeuppance, you know.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, because she is a dick.
Yeah, and there's one like heated conversation, but I don't necessarily feel like from that conversation, Lisa has really been like, "I'm going to listen to you." She's still a twat.
I don't think these people will.
No, exactly. So get a bird to shit on them.
I think the way Paige deals with her is great.
Yeah, that's probably like a very, very carefully written scene.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, just a flock of birds should have shot on her simultaneously.
I agree.
Okay, so the relationship between Paige and James.
Yes.
Would you like to just set that up for our listeners?
So Paige is this like attorney who's working for a company that defends, I think she says it's minority rights, but the case we see her dealing with is like a transgender person, right?
Yeah.
James, how does she actually meet James? What's the...
They're at the cafe. She's talking to Ellie, I think, and Ellie clocks James behind her, who's like, can't take his eyes off her, basically.
Oh, that's right. Oh, no, it's Violet. It's Violet.
Oh, is it Violet? Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then she's like, oh, that guy's looking at you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So Paige meets this James guy, and she's just... In the first few episodes, you see her having sex with a guy and being like, do you want to meet up later? And him just being like, no, I'm busy. No, I'm good. And like just walking out. And I think she says to Violet, like, when I disclose to people, that's all they want is just this one night. Sometimes
not even that, I think she says.
Yeah. So she meets James and gets talking to him, and they're getting along very well. And they don't like start dating, but I think they agree to go on a date.
Yeah.
And then on that date, she has a moment where she's going to tell him that she's transgender.
Yeah.
And decides not to because she's worried that will happen. That he'll just walk out. Or, worse. But so you sort of follow their relationship as he's just this lovely, sweet guy. Does the very smooth move at the end of the first date where...
Oh, that was like, that made me want to vomit a little bit in my mouth.
Oh, God. I swooned for him.
Really?
It's a badass move.
Oh, I almost...
She says,
I would have almost been offended.
What are we going to do now?
Yeah.
You could come back to mine for coffee.
Yeah.
And he says, I could do, but I've just ordered you an Uber because I want to see you again. And I was like, nice one, James.
No. if right, if I was on a date with someone,
you're not classy though, Liam.
Yeah,
you'd whip your dick out and be like, "Do you like boats?"
If I was on a date with someone and they're like, "I've just called you a cab to go," I'd be like, "What the fuck did I say wrong?"
Yeah, well, yes, if they did it to you.
Yeah, because there's a good chance I had said something wrong.
Yeah.
No, I didn't like that move. It worked.
All right, well,
you know, in the context of the show, it worked, but it would have pissed me off if it was me.
I thought it was very smooth. Yeah. So, agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But yeah, their relationship is interesting because you have all this going on where sort of Paige is trying to deal with whether she tells him and when to tell him.
Yes.
She then there's Ellie finds out that Violet tells Ellie that Paige is transgender, just in an offhand sort of. She's making a point that Ellie probably knows more transgender people than she thinks.
Yeah. Now, is that problematic or not?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because it feels like the show doesn't really address it.
I think Violet makes the mistake there.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
By telling Ellie without talking to Paige.
Yeah.
But Ellie, because she's new to this whole thing, I can't remember. Oh, because Lisa's being a dick.
Yeah,
and then starts saying like, oh, you know, whatever, fuck all this, and then talks about how Paige is quite attractive.
Yeah.
So Ali is just like, shut the fuck up. Oh, she's having a go at Paige. Lisa is having a go at Paige and saying, why are you defending these men who go to women's shelters?
Yeah.
And Paige is like, no, they're women. They should be going to those women's shelters. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then when Paige walks off, Lisa's talking about how hot Paige is, and Ali just goes like, she's trans, you idiot.
Yeah.
And storms off. Lisa then does an article or releases something, a story.
Yeah.
Basically outing Paige.
Yeah.
Saying like, it turns out Paige is a transgender person. That's why she's defending this person in this case. Blah de blah. So that's when Lisa gets her comeuppance, where Paige just basically puts her in her place. Yeah. Then has to go and talk to James.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously going to have seen the story.
Yeah.
And you get an interesting scene where James is annoyed because Paige hasn't told him.
Yeah.
She basically says like, I don't like, when was I meant to tell you?
Yeah. And he even says you were going to on the first date, weren't you?
Yeah. He says you were going to say something. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, I was. And then I think she like goes to walk off or something.
Yeah.
And he says, I have a gambling addiction.
Yeah. And
I'm just trying to figure out when the right time to tell you would have been.
Yeah. Which I see, when I first saw that, I was like,
yes,
I don't think those two are comparable. But then I actually thought about it. Like, that was my like initial gut reaction. And then I was like, I get the point they're making, because like I've got this like weird conflict going on internally, right? Where it's like, I know the way it should be, but then there's also the way that, like, if I was to put myself in that situation, how confused and how I would be feeling.
Yeah, because here's the thing, Liam. Like, in an ideal world, right?
Yeah.
In the most ideal world,
yeah,
it would just be a thing where it wouldn't even. I mean, in the most ideal world, you wouldn't even have to disclose it.
Yeah.
It would just be a world where everyone accepted everyone, and it was like, I like this girl. You go and have sex.
Job done.
And the fact that she's got a dick doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Or that she's trans and doesn't have a penis.
Yeah.
And it would just be like that.
Yeah.
We're not in that world.
No.
So in the world we are in, a guy expects to be told that.
Yeah.
Because in his head he's like, well, I should know because I don't want to have sex with a penis, right? Is the like default logic there.
I think that's a viewpoint of it, definitely.
That's a viewpoint. There are definitely people that don't mind, yeah.
Well, I think, because one of the things that I wanted the show to do, but it didn't, was for them to touch on the, like, it's minor, this is probably going to sound worse than it actually is displayed in the show, but, like, there is a degree of almost, deception's probably the wrong word, but there's a scene, there's a scene where she's discussing her past, and she's about to say something, but she's sort of, like, rephrases, right? Yeah. She's about to say, essentially she's about to say, like, oh, when I was a boy growing up, for example. But
here's the thing, Liam, like, again, we don't live in it's not a deception because we do not live in an ideal world. I don't think it's fair I don't even think it's we live in a world where there is, in America, there is a law called the trans panic defense.
Okay.
Which is the idea that if a man and a woman are going to have sex, and the man finds out that the woman is transgender, and kills her, in reaction to that, he can claim trans panic and it lowers his sentence by a shit ton.
That's
because the idea being that, hey, of course, it was a transgender person. Who wouldn't react with horrible violence and murder them?
That's ridiculous.
So we live in that world. So when people are like, oh, talk about old trans people deceiving them and stuff, my reaction is yes, because cis people kill us. The negative.
That's crazy.
The negative for a guy is I was going to have sex with a girl and I found out she had a penis. Yeah. And if that makes you feel weird, check your own sexuality, because just be like, oh, I don't want to have sex with a penis. That's fine.
Yeah. But I guess
you don't have to be attracted to a penis. That's cool. You don't have to. You can just go, this isn't for me, and leave.
Yeah, but I think even if they've had the surgery, right, so they no longer have the penis, that where the element of deception comes in, again, that feels like too strong of a word.
Stop saying deception,
because
it isn't deception.
Yeah, but it's just, it is that like what the show demonstrates is when someone's talking about their past, but they're having to just tweak it a little bit. It's like a small lie to some degree, but here's the thing. I again would disagree with that, because my argument is, as someone who is trans, I have always been a girl, but I didn't realise because something genetically was wrong with me, and my body got the wrong fucking message and grew into a boy's body, right? Yeah.
That would be my logic. I've always had the same brain. I've always been a girl, I just didn't fucking know it.
Yeah.
So when I talk about the past and I say when I was a little boy,
yeah,
I'm not lying if I change that to when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
Because I have always been a girl. So I don't think there is a deception there. Because for there to be a deception, you have to be saying that a trans person was their assigned gender and have changed it, which I don't think is the right way. I don't think that's what it is. And I know people will disagree with that.
Yeah.
But they're wrong.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, that would be my argument to the whole idea of there being deception.
Yeah, I think the only,
the only real argument I can see for it is I wanted to have kids.
That's what I was going to say.
And to be honest with you, unless you are going and getting your fertility checked and you come to me and say, hey, by the way, we're about to have sex. If you wanted kids, I have had a check, and it turns out I'm not very fertile. If you're not doing that, you don't have the right to ask me to disclose that I'm trans.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, I think.
Because that's the only logical argument I can see that I actually agree with, is fertility, because that does affect a relationship in terms of
planning,
especially the areas we're starting to get to.
Yeah, if you're this is starting to get serious, I want to start thinking about the future and having a family and all that sort of thing.
Exactly.
But then I guess, so I'm just trying to kind of get my head around it, right? If
no, I totally get it, and I'm aware that this
is... a guy in that position, right? Is there an element of almost and this could happen even if they're dating a girl who is infertile or whatever. Is there an element of I've kind of almost wasted my time?
There might be, but
it's hard for me to put myself in that mindset as someone who does not want children.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people are doing it for the infertility thing. I don't think that is the actual reason people don't want to have sex with trans
women. I think if that was the case, it'd be such a minor.
Yeah.
One person maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I think the real thing is internalized homophobia and the idea that a trans woman is really a man pretending. I think that's why people don't want to have sex with a trans woman.
Okay.
And that's not I get it, because everyone has internalized things.
Yeah.
Internalized transphobia is something that trans people deal with all the time. Their own issues with what being trans is.
Yeah. I guess I guess the other thing, if you're, let's say you're on a date, right, with a trans woman and you're not aware they're trans,
mm-hmm.
Is there not also an element of when it's time to, say the date's going well and it's time to have sex, you're well, that's not what I was expecting. I was expecting...
Yeah, and I think most people would disclose before then.
Yeah. It's just suddenly it's oh, by the way, surprise.
Yeah.
Because I guess if you're well, I'm expecting, a vagina to put my penis in. I don't know. I don't know what the sort of...
No, I get what you're saying, because it is... Yeah, it's a tricky one, is the thing. But I don't think it's fair that society tries to put the blame on trans people, because
I get that.
If cis people stopped murdering trans women and trans men, then it would be a lot easier for us to just go, hey, I have a penis.
Yeah, and that's kind of should be where we're at, right?
Yeah, and we are not.
Yeah, that right. I can get behind that, because that to me is ludicrous that we're not there.
Because that's the real reason people don't want to disclose, is because and even if it's not murder, like I realise murder is an extreme example.
Yeah,
there are numerous situations. Like Jen Richards, the trans actor, who played Violet, she said like she has so many trans friends that have been in dangerous situations where someone has discovered that they are trans, and the whole thing has just shifted immediately to like, oh shit, this is going very, very badly south.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a thing that trans women have to deal with.
Yeah, I guess because
trans people, just everyone.
Where I struggle as well is the like, I'm very much if I wouldn't say if I was on a date with someone, I wouldn't be like, so you're a woman, right?
Exactly.
So I totally get that it would be unfair to treat like a trans person in that way.
Yeah.
So like I 100% get the like almost hypocrisy of it. But yeah, I kind of agree that it's ridiculous that we're not at a stage where if you are a trans person, you can't just be like, by the way, without any fear of repercussion.
Yeah. And I mean, that even then it goes into a deeper argument of like, even then, should they have to disclose?
Yeah.
Which I would, I have arguments against, but the show doesn't delve that deep into it, so we probably shouldn't either. Because I could literally sit here for hours just arguing trans points.
Yeah, and again, this is what I was kind of saying at the beginning of the culture swap. Like, you're coming to this from a vastly different place to me, because you've got a lot more like experience, you've done a lot more research, reading into all this sort of stuff.
I interact with people that are going through this shit.
Yeah, whereas I'm just, ignorant white male privilege.
Yeah, classic cis male.
Yeah.
Heteronormative. Look at you, and your relationship is not heteronormative.
What's that mean?
Like, stereotypically heterosexual.
Yeah, it is. What is it then?
Catherine!
Yeah?
Catherine, I'm wet from the shower.
That happens.
That's not traditionally manly.
No, that's true. Is there anything else like thematically about the show? Yes, there is. The Mark character.
Yeah, oh god, we haven't even spoken about that yet.
No, we need to get into that because...
Yeah, it's a pretty major thing.
It's a major thing, but also it's just like... I almost needed more time spent on it in the show.
Again, I think it's in there to show that issue.
Yeah. No, it is, but I guess... Okay, so playing devil's advocate here, right? You don't want a show to just like do lip service to an issue if it's not going to actually dig into the issue, right?
But they weren't trying. Like, I've read a lot of interviews with Jen Richards specifically about how she wrote this show.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to do that either. Like, because she said there's a lot of like people who afterwards were like, well, there's no like representation of trans men in this show.
Yeah.
Or gender non-conforming or non-binary. Like, there's a huge part of the trans community that isn't represented in her story.
Yes.
And she was like, and I know that, and it's because I knew if I put that in, because I was like, well, I've got to represent everyone.
Yeah. Well, you don't have the trans man perspective, do you?
No.
What?
But she's also saying it would just be like, at that point, it is just tokenism.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's like what, like half of the community or so.
Yeah. We're a pretty even split.
Yeah.
It's disproportionate on different websites. Apparently, Reddit is very predominantly trans women. I think Tumblr is predominantly trans men, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So we're sort of split on where we are on the internet. But it's, as far as I'm aware, it's pretty 50-50.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, so I get it. Like, basically, Violet is, at the same time that she's getting closer to Ellie, she is in a relationship of sorts with this guy, Mark, who she lives at his apartment.
Yeah.
And you see early on that there is something dodgy going on.
Yes.
Because he, like... I can't remember what he does. What the first thing he does? Isn't he like... She gets back from somewhere and he's like, where have you been?
The first thing that I think, for me, was red flag is she gets back from her first meeting with Ali, and she's like, oh yeah, I met with this journalist who wanted to talk to me about being trans.
Yeah.
And he was like, you're not doing it, are you?
Yeah, and then throws away Ali's phone number.
Yes. So that was the first, like, for me, like, red flag.
Yeah. So basically, you're getting these red flags. Then eventually, Ali goes round to watch a movie.
Or was it was it like meant to be Game of Thrones they were watching?
Oh, possibly, yeah.
Because it felt like they mentioned Game of Thrones earlier, and then they obviously can't use the intro music, but it does sound like a Game of Thrones-esque like rip-off music.
So it definitely could be.
Yeah, and you see like a shot of the TV through a glass, and I was watching it being like, is that Game of Thrones that they're trying to sort of like get away with there?
Yeah, but yeah, so they're watching
Something.
this Game of Thrones-esque show.
Yeah.
And Mark comes home unexpectedly.
Yeah, and is a dickhead.
And Violet's like, oh god, you've got to leave, Ali. It's nothing major, And Mark's like, who is this? Then sort of does this weird, not forced kiss, but like, it is a forced kiss, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't physically grab her and make her kiss him, but it's
very much... He's doing it to establish dominance.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yes. And then there's a bit where like she's almost going to go and see her out of the door, and he sort of holds her back almost.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Ali starts to get suspicious that she's in an abusive relationship, is talking to some of her friends who are like, I think at that point Lisa is actually like helpful.
Is she?
Because doesn't she have a conversation with her where she's like saying about what happened, and Lisa's like, yeah, she's in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, possibly.
And like, I've seen this before.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think they tried to maybe give Lisa an almost like, not redeeming thing, but like she's not just a dickhead.
Yeah. Different sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, so there's some more stuff happens. You meet a British singer.
Oh, just the worst accent.
It's a poor accent.
Poor is generous.
It's very over the top.
Yeah.
And not very good.
No.
But so Ali and Violet are like very. I think they make out a little bit.
I think so. Yeah.
And then she gets a call from Mark and is like, I have to go. And he beats her up, or he punched her in the face because she tells him she doesn't love him.
Yeah, and she says he's never hit me in the face before.
Yeah. But the whole thing is that she's in this like relationship with Mark because she can't afford to live by herself with her waitressing job.
Yeah.
And she used to be a prostitute, or at least a sex worker of some kind. Mark was a client that always came back to her and offered her this deal where it was like, if you come and live with me, I'll look after you, basically.
Yeah.
So she's been in this weird abusive relationship for a while, and then basically splits up with him because she's falling in love with Ali.
Yeah.
And never loved Mark anyway. Yeah. It's an important scene because that whole sex work thing, like I said earlier, that is a thing that happens.
Yeah.
And there's also, we call them chasers, which is a guy that is specifically wanting to date trans women because of the genitals they have.
Right.
And they're not good people.
No. Like, that's something that I'm not particularly familiar with or aware of.
No. It's basically the idea that at that point they are just fetishizing you.
Yeah, okay. Like,
there is nothing good about a chaser.
So is it someone that is what? They're willing to pay to a point with the surgery, but if a trans person was like, okay, the next step of the surgery that I want to get is like genital reassignment, would chasers potentially be like, no? Yeah,
100%.
Cool.
If a proper chaser
yeah.
would at that point be like, no, I don't want you to get that done, because that's what they're attracted to, that part of the transgender life.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because a lot of transgender people are not happy with their genitals.
Yeah, exactly.
So the whole dichotomy doesn't really work.
Yeah. I guess it's almost like, right, it's very predatory in nature then, because I imagine they're fully aware that these people aren't happy about it, so they can almost use that to kind of manipulate.
I mean, like...
Because it's like picking on someone.
I never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but to be fair to the chasers...
right.
They might not know what a transgender person feels, because they're just looking for sex with a trans woman, and like...
But they could also use that to their advantage, right?
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, I don't know. They're a whole tricky thing, the chasers. They're bad people, but, you know, I don't know how much is them knowing they're bad, and if you actually sat down and explained to some of them, they probably would be like, oh god, I didn't realise what I was doing.
You'd hope. This is where I think you have that optimistic attitude about the world, and I don't.
Well, there are probably some, is what I said.
Yeah. I think, so where this storyline for me I struggle with is I can buy... hang on. I can buy Violet getting to LA in this method, but the way that her character is presented is, she's a strong character. She's very, like, to me it feels like she's very independent. She's very, like, kind of comfortable with who she is. Yeah. And it just seems weird to me that, like, the character that we're shown in the first 5 episodes before this all becomes this big deal would willingly keep herself in that environment.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this, Liam.
Okay.
And I think Violet herself explains part of it.
Right.
When she's talking to Ellie, and Ellie, I think it's early on in their interviews, where Ellie's like, "Are you attracted to men?"
Yeah.
And Violet says, "It's not so much that I'm attracted to men, but when I'm with a man, I feel feminine."
Yeah.
Because she says when she's with someone like Ellie, she can look and be like, "My hands are bigger than yours. Here's all the things that are wrong with me."
Yes.
And with a man, that's not obvious.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is the idea that early on in Violet's transition, she probably fell into this sex work.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. I think as well, it's probably more true to life of real abuse, maybe.
Okay.
Where, like, I think we have, as a society, as a society, a view of, like, an abusive relationship being this big muscly guy who's a dickhead and is just, like, beating his wife, and his wife's just this meek woman.
Yeah.
And I think in reality, domestic abuse probably isn't as much like that. And I think it's probably harmful that society makes us think the other way. Because I think, because there are guys who get abused in relationships, and there are probably women who look completely fine on the outside, and, like, these strong independent women who do go home and get abused.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know if that's what her story was trying to do, or whether it was just, maybe a weaker bit of writing for that specific thing.
Right.
But that's how I'm choosing to read it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Because that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And especially with the whole, like, trans thing and, trying to feel feminine. That bit I can completely understand.
Yeah, I get it. I think it's another one of those examples where it's like, you're probably, because you're more sort of tuned into this community, you can pick up or like fill in the blanks easier than I can.
Yeah.
So for someone like me, I would almost I'd need, like, an additional scene that's just, like, hand holding me through it.
You need, like, an episode 0.
Yeah.
Where they just do a presentation.
Yeah, that'd be good. I did think, like, because it is quite short, and I know they cut a couple of scenes, but I did feel like there was, like, I wouldn't have minded if it was a little bit longer and it gave them more time to delve into certain aspects. Yeah. Particularly the Paige and James relationship.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely, like, a fair amount of stuff that was cut. Like, I was reading that Jen Richards was saying one of her favourite scenes that got cut was Paige delving more into disclosure. Like, I know you get that scene at the end about it.
Yeah. And
they talk a little bit about it, where Paige is talking about, like, oh, when I disclose to people, they just want to fuck me, or not even that.
Yeah.
That scene was originally, like, a lot longer, and Paige does this speech about it, which is really good. Yeah. Like, the speech itself, I read it and was like, oh wow, she, like, properly delves into the issues with it.
Yeah.
But that got cut because whilst it does help with figuring that stuff out, it also story-wise made Paige already be on the defensive with James or something, and it was like, it sort of messed with the relationship they had through the rest of the show.
Okay.
Because Paige almost wasn't dealing with, like, whereas the rest of the show she's trying to figure it out, it's almost made it like, well, Paige knows.
Yeah.
So, like, that's one example of something that got cut, and I know a lot of stuff did get cut.
Yeah. Well, I noticed in the credits, right, someone was credited as some, like, speed data announcer, and I was like, "There's no speed dating scene." Yeah. So that was another bit that was cut.
Yeah. And I think that is, I know that they would, or they've been trying to get a season 2.
Yeah, but it did come out, 2015?
Yeah.
So
no one's picked it up.
Yeah, or 2016.
But it would have been 30-minute episodes and 10 episodes long, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, I would love it to be picked up, because I would love to watch more of this, because I love it. I think it's really important and good.
Yeah. Are there, like, other shows like this that you're aware of?
I've heard really good things about Pose.
Okay.
Which is about trans women in the 70s or 80s?
Yeah.
Maybe earlier?
Yeah.
Which is about some dance club, which I've heard good things about.
Yeah.
Which has trans actors playing trans roles.
Not Scarlett Johansson.
Not Scarlett Johansson.
It's a shame.
That's like the big one at the moment.
Yeah.
I think there probably is more.
Okay.
I mean, there's the films, obviously, like Tangerine, and
I've seen that.
I need to see it, and the other one that you've also seen.
No, I haven't.
Oh, have you
I've
not?
recommended it to you. I think it's called like A Serious Woman or something. No.
Yeah,
is that it?
Something like that.
I don't think that is it now. No. What is it? It's not Serious Woman. I'm getting it confused with a film called A Serious Man.
Oh. A Marvelous Woman or something?
It's not that.
A Fantastic Woman.
That's it, yeah. Which I've heard nothing but good things about that.
Yeah, same.
I think it's Spanish speaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's stuff. There's just not a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'd be curious for you to watch Tangerine. Because I only watched it because Duplass produced it.
Okay.
So like, it's tangentially connected to Mumblecore.
Right.
And so I don't know if you remember. Dan went to see this film, and we were discussing it. A film called The Florida Project.
Yeah.
Same director.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, watch it around Christmas time.
Why?
It's Christmas
Is
film.
it Christmassy?
It's set on Christmas Eve.
Oh, okay.
But in LA, so it does not look like Christmas.
I'll watch it now then.
It was also well known because I think it was all filmed on an iPhone.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, it got a bit of news coverage because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have heard that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about her story, Liam?
Just kind of, I don't know if I said it already, but I did find the acting was a little bit like all over the place.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues you're going to get from web series.
Yeah, that's kind of what I chalked it up to. Like some were good. I thought Angelica Ross was really good.
Yeah.
Jen Richards, a little bit. Like she got better as the show went on, but the first couple of episodes, I was not like sold on her performance.
I mean, I'm biased because I love Jen Richards. She's like an amazing author, and I love her.
Okay, I thought Laura Zach was fine. And those are the only ones that really are given material to really play with. I didn't think the guy that played James was particularly impressive.
Fair enough.
We had some correspondence, but should we do our rating of it first or the correspondence first?
How do we usually do it?
I think we'd normally do the correspondence last.
Okay. I give it, Liam, a 4.5 out of 5.
For what reasons?
I think it's a really good look at the trans experience, and I think it's a good way for other people to see some of the issues that they might not originally see.
Yeah.
I think it's really good that it does representation right and shows that you can do a show about trans people, written by trans people, starring trans people, instead of what Hollywood is currently trying to do, where they get a bunch of white dudes to sit down and go, let's make a transgender film. Who should we get to star in it? This normal, straight dude to play a woman.
Yeah, but that's a bit Hollywood. That's a real hot topic at the moment because I think, is it Disney are getting criticised? Basically, a film company very recently, like in the last couple of days, announced Jack Whitehall as playing an openly gay character.
So I've heard about this.
Yeah.
So the reason I don't think it's the same,
okay,
is with that I get the issues people have with it, but that is still a guy playing a guy. The sexuality is different.
Yeah,
that's the issue with trans people in films. They're not getting our sexuality wrong. Yeah. They are getting people of the wrong gender to play us.
See, I think, like, I get what you're saying. I think the issue is trans people just aren't getting roles whatsoever. Like,
yeah,
I don't think it would be a big issue, right? If, let's say, if Scarlett Johansson got a role playing a trans person, I don't think that'd be a big issue. If a trans person was getting the sort of roles that Scarlett Johansson is getting.
No, but so here's the issue, Liam. Here's what I think it boils down to, right?
Yeah.
The stereotype that negative people have about trans people is that we are assigned gender.
Yeah.
So I would be a guy pretending to be a woman. That's the stereotype. That's the bit that hurts, right?
Yeah.
So when they get a guy to play a trans woman, they're not. That is the only thing people can then see on that screen is a guy dressed up as a woman
Yeah.
playing a trans woman. So that just enforces that stereotype. There is no situation where that is good, in my opinion.
But what I'm saying...
So even if I don't think Scarlett Johansson playing a trans man is ever a good idea.
But what I'm
saying...
There
also is the issue of trans people not getting jobs.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is I think if trans people were getting the sort of roles that Scarlett Johansson was getting, that would indicate a level of acceptance that we seem to be way off of, right? Which is why I think
but even then, it's just when she then gets the job of playing a trans man, she is just reinforcing the stereotype that it is a woman pretending to be a guy.
Yeah, but I guess in my mind,
never okay.
If trans people were getting sort of like, playing like Black Widow or playing like the lead in Ghost in the Shell or whatever, to me that would almost indicate the fact that they're trans doesn't matter, which is how it should be.
Yeah, but that's like saying a white actor playing a black person shouldn't matter. Which it obviously does.
Yeah, that's true.
The only time that's ever worked is in Tropic Thunder, where it was done deliberately because it was like, look how horrifying this is.
Yeah.
So that is the equivalent, is getting a white person to play a black person, which is not okay.
Anymore. Used to be all of age.
Okay.
Used to be all of age.
It was not okay, though.
No. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I do think that is a big problem, though, is just not getting any sort of role.
Yeah, and I think Hollywood likes to jump on the bandwagon. They're seeing that trans issues are becoming more noticeable in society, so they're like, let's make a film about trans people.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, then don't go and consult with trans people.
No.
And I'm like, well, you're probably missing out on some of the stuff.
But it's like, I don't know if we've discussed it on the podcast before, but I know we have, at least off of it, where to me it feels like there's steps that need to be taken. Like, I imagine the first ever gay character in a film probably wasn't played by an actually gay guy. Very much like the first black person in the film probably wasn't played by a black guy. It was a white person in blackface, right? Which now, obviously, we look back horrified at. But it feels to me like there's certain steps that almost are traditionally taken before we get to this level of acceptance.
Yeah, but then I would say, well, then look at that. Look at how we all now know that shit was wrong.
Well, yeah.
And how can anyone be sitting there going, we shouldn't go through these traditional steps. To be honest, Liam, fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck tradition. Fuck Hollywood. I'm not going to sit back and be like, nah, yeah, well, at least they're throwing us a bone by talking about us on their screen. Fuck that.
But is it better to have the film made or not have the film made?
Not have the film made.
But then the story doesn't get told, or because it doesn't get in front of as many people as it maybe would have.
Yeah, part of my issue is that I don't think Hollywood are trying to tell the right stories.
Okay.
It's just token representation. We are just being wheeled out because society is finally being like, oh shit, maybe we shouldn't be fucking these trans people around so much.
Have you seen Dallas Buyers Club?
No, I don't particularly want to.
Okay, I would just be curious of how you think they handle it.
I probably will watch some of these films at some point so that I can be like, fuck this.
Well, yeah. But I guess if you're going into it already with that attitude, then it's only going to reinforce it, isn't it?
Yeah. That is one of the ones that I'm not going to change my attitude on, though, because I'm in the right.
Are there any that, what about, what's the one with Eddie Redmayne in it?
The one about the
Danish girl?
Danish girl,
yeah.
That's it.
What about that one?
I've been told to watch it by friends, because apparently it's a very good film.
Okay.
But it is a man playing a trans woman, which I do not agree with, so probably not.
Okay. So what's the solution?
If you're making a story about trans people, hire a trans person.
Okay.
If the story's not about a transgender person, hire a cis person. That's fine. But you can also hire trans people. It doesn't matter.
But it's like we've discussed in the past, right? There is probably, I can think of maybe one trans actor.
Laverne Cox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day...
But that's because we're not getting the roles.
Yeah. But so it's a vicious cycle, right? Because they're not getting the roles, so they're not getting the exposure, so they're not getting their name to the degree where they're going to be able to generate as much revenue as, an established actor.
Yeah, so hire trans people for other roles. This is the thing.
Yeah.
There aren't films where... Because I could see, some, a TERF or whatever, or someone who's anti-trans, being like, well then, why do we have to hire them for cis roles? And my argument to that would be, there aren't films where being cis is the point.
Yeah.
There are films where being trans is the point.
Yeah.
So, for the roles where being cis isn't the point, hire trans people for some of them, not for the big roles. That's fine.
Yeah.
Laverne Cox played one of the inmates on Orange Is the New Black.
Yeah.
And her being trans was important in that, but just hire us as extras and then like other people in the films. And then when you want to make a trans film, you can be like, hey, that person that we got big by putting them in other films.
Yeah.
Perfect for this.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the issue. At the moment, there are no trans actors that can generate the type of money that, certain other actors can.
Yeah.
And until they start getting, opportunities, they're never going to. But we can't just, immediately say, right, well, this movie about a trans person is going to have a trans leading it, because suddenly the budget for that movie is just going to shrink and then maybe not get made.
Yeah. But I mean, that's part of the problem with Hollywood, which is a whole other thing.
What, the fact that it's just a business and they're just out to make as much money as possible?
Yes.
Yeah. But then that's why we have to look into like independent cinema and usually international cinema as well to get those sort of stories. Because I imagine like the first like gay story wouldn't have been a big. Like, I mean, we've only just had like the first like Hollywood film. I think what was it? Is it a gay main character? Like Love, Simon was. Yeah. Kind of. There was something about it where it's just like, how is that the first one?
Yeah.
But there's been plenty in supporting characters or independent cinema. Yeah. It's going to be a long process, I think, though, to get Hollywood. There.
It will. It shouldn't be, but it will be.
Yeah.
What do you give Her Story, Liam?
I would give it a 2.5 out of 5.
Fair enough.
Like, I liked it. I think it was a much better choice than what you were initially going to suggest for your birthday episode.
You haven't seen what I've suggested.
Yeah, but just 8 hours of it
so
would have...
you don't know.
The fact that it was 8 hours long would have just done my nut in.
Coward.
This was nice, breezy, 54 minutes. Apart from, like I said, that scene with Ellie, that I just, like, I watched it, and my initial was just, like, fucking hate that scene. Like, everything else I thought was fine. There's nothing, like, hugely bad about it. What I did like is, like I said, it's written by a trans woman. Like, it's got a lot of like trans people on the crew.
Yeah.
And you got like trans actors in there. I liked that it wasn't about being trans necessarily. Like it's about the experience of a trans person, but it is not about the actual process of being transgender.
Yeah. Yes.
So I liked that. But yeah, 2.5 out of 5.
Fair enough. What was the listener correspondence?
Kat Fyson sent us an email.
That's a surprise.
Saying my thoughts on Her Story. She said, "It's obviously good that trans stories are being told, but I felt like Her Story lacked depth of characterisation, and so it was difficult to emphasise with certain characters, particularly Jen. Because of the short episode format, I feel like so much gets omitted that I'd have been interested in knowing more about, e.g. character backstory and motivations for some characters, thoughts and actions." So these are all points that we have discussed.
Yeah.
I would have liked to know more about Paige, and I feel like the relationship she has with James ends up ultimately being really anticlimactic at the end. He also compares keeping a gambling addiction secret to her not being immediately forthcoming about being trans. It seems like an odd comparison to make.
Went over that.
Something else we discussed. Final thoughts, I liked Ali and Paige the most, and also what the fuck was Bad Penny's accent.
Yeah.
So,
Bad Penny's accent is not good.
That's the first time I've read that email, and I'm pleased that we did basically touch on all of those points.
We did, yeah.
So that means we must have had a very thorough discussion.
Let me know, Kat, if I explain those points well enough, because I never know.
She doesn't listen.
Liam, make Kat listen.
I mean, I can try, but she doesn't listen. I think her point is she listens to me enough that she doesn't then want to listen to a podcast with me on it.
Fair enough.
It's not though, is it really?
Shall I just send her? I'll send her my audio.
Yeah, like it's not something that like a loving girlfriend should really say.
Wow.
I mean, where's the support?
Yeah. I mean, the support is when she dries you with the towels, I think.
Maybe. Next time.
Get going. You picked it.
Nothing special about the next episode. I was trying to think, is there anything special coming up? Nah.
I don't think so.
Just a bog standard episode.
Ellie's post-birthday episode.
Yep. We spent an hour before recording trying to decide what to do next time.
Yeah.
So,
which is ridiculous.
Listeners, you've got a job. Send us some suggestions of things to do. Good suggestions.
Yeah, we are aware that there is still technically a backlog of suggestions before the people that have suggested stuff kick off.
Here's the thing, though. We're filtering suggestions.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I don't want to watch Sir Billy.
I don't mind, but I obviously can't force Ellie to do it. So, looks like we're not doing Sir Billy.
Liam doesn't want to watch Godfather 1 and 2.
Actually, I kind of do.
I don't.
Well, then don't say I don't. Be honest with our listeners and say that you don't. Don't put it on me.
I don't want to watch Godfather 2 because I didn't like Godfather 1.
This is why I want to watch it, though, because like I know like Godfather, right, is Amanda's favourite film of all time. And I've watched it twice now in the past. And both times I've come away being like, it's a good film. I don't know why everyone considers it the best.
Yeah.
Godfather 2 has a reputation for being one of the...
Yeah, don't people say it's better than the first?
Yeah. And it is. It's a good film. Again, it's a very good film. I think the last time I watched them, and we're talking like over like 6 years ago now, I think I gave the first Godfather 4 out of 5 and Godfather 2 like 4.5 out of 5. They're good films. I'd be happy to revisit them, but I know you don't want to.
I mean, part of the issue is that I know you will watch both of them, and I will not rewatch Godfather 1 because we'll just be doing Godfather 2, and then that will lead to a weird episode like the Santa Claus one, where you have to talk for 50 minutes about a fucking 2 films that I haven't watched.
Just watch the first one.
No, we don't do entire series.
No, and we wouldn't do Godfather 3. That would have to be on a future housekeeping.
That's just stupid.
Why is that stupid?
Whatever, let's just... Anyway, what film are we doing?
This is one of my personal favourites. Ticks the Liam coming-of-age box. I'm thinking about it. It's a fucking female protagonist, isn't it? So...
Is it?
That's going to shock everyone.
Oh, yeah, you usually... You're usually sexist, Liam.
Usually. I watch these movies and I'm like, there's not enough scenes in the kitchen. It's unbelievable.
I might edit that out and put it right at the beginning.
We are doing My Girl, which is just... Oh.
Does it have the song in it?
Yes. Of course it does. Of course it does. It's honestly one of my favourite films of all time. It's a shame about the sequel. It's not as good.
What's the sequel called?
My Girl 2.
Oh. They could have called it like My Other Girl.
That would have been great. That would have been so good.
It's right though, listeners. I've conceded to this, and Liam has told me that he now owes me one sci-fi film.
Yeah,
so,
I do.
Event Horizon or Pandorum is coming up soon.
I'm surprised you're not going for Annihilation.
I really want to rewatch Event Horizon.
Okay.
And Pandorum, to be honest.
I will. If we're doing that, right, you've got to wait until I go back to my mum's, because I think my Event Horizon DVD is there.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I don't mind waiting. I'm not in a rush to do it. I really want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Because I remember really enjoying it, and I want to see if it holds up.
I know I have it on DVD somewhere. I ain't got a fucking clue where, though.
That's fair.
So I need to dig it out. But yeah, I watched it initially because you recommended it to me.
Yeah. I can't remember why I watched it, because usually it was definitely at uni.
Yeah.
And traditionally at uni, it would be everyone would go away for a weekend except me, like go back home. And I would message Liam and say, Liam, I've got the house to myself. Give me a list of horror films to watch.
Which I would gladly do.
Yeah, and I watched a fair few doing that. But then I think for some reason I watched Event Horizon without your recommendation.
Yeah, because I hadn't seen it.
Weird.
What was some of the good horror films I recommended?
Oh, I genuinely can't remember. I know I watched a lot.
I think I made you watch Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah, I went through a phase of... Yeah, and I watched up to Dream Warriors.
Oh, that's a brilliant one.
Yeah, because I remember you saying Dream Warriors is like the best one.
Yeah, you don't really need to watch beyond that.
No, I did Friday the 13th, but I don't know if that was on your recommendation.
Yeah, it's not one of my favourite slashers, so it wouldn't be. What about Halloween?
I'd seen Halloween before.
Okay. Those are like the big slasher ones.
Yeah. There were definitely others.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
I used to get lists.
You did. So yeah, next time we're not doing horror, we're doing a beautiful coming of age movie, My Girl. If you've seen My Girl, if you have thoughts on it, you, dear listener, could get involved. You could tweet us at nerdornerd, email us nerdornerdpod@gmail.com. Leave a comment on YouTube, I guess. YouTube us, just search Nerd on Nerd.
It's a bit, in the past, so don't leave us a comment about My Girl, because that would be weird.
Well, I'll see it.
He'll see it, but it will just be weird. You'll be commenting on, like, a culture swap from a year and a half ago.
Yeah, you will.
Being like, I like My Girl.
Yeah, but I'll see it.
Okay.
So you could leave a review on iTunes, and you could rate us. That helps, apparently. That's it. No, Facebook us. Facebook.com/nerdornerdpod.
All one word?
I don't know.
No, it is. It's all one word.
Okay. That's it. Any final thoughts?
Stop killing trans people.
It's probably a good final thought to end on. Can't really dispute it.
I made it dark again.
Can't dispute it, can you?
You can't.
No. Bye.
Bye.